Responsible debt management has become one of the biggest talking points in addressing the current state of the financial well-being of South Africans. With the ongoing rise in the cost of living, analysts say there's been a need for help to stretch salaries and reduce the high reliance on short-term debts to make ends meet. Hayley Parry is the co-founder of Worth, which is a partner to Discovery Bank's financial education. Thank you so much for your time, Hayley. It's quite important that we speak of what data is telling us about the state of the South African consumer. Traditionally, we've been known as not the best savers.
Yeah, look, I think the current cost of living crisis is impacting everyone across the board. We know that most people are spending 62% of their take-home pay servicing debt. And that one of the reasons is the current high interest rate cycle that we're experiencing. You know, if you've got a home loan, you're paying 38% more now than you were 18 months ago. And obviously this is impacting our ability to make ends meet every month.
Absolutely. And is there space for saving in this regard? Because many households are stretched, expenditure has also dwindled, but the cost of living is not making it easier. We do have to travel to work, have food on the table and the like, as well as keep up with our bond repayments, which makes it a little bit difficult to have a little bit left in your tikkie.
Yeah, this is a problem that I think has just got worse over the last while, right? We know that when it comes to managing our money, there's a few basics that we should be doing. We know that we should be spending less than we earn. We know we should be saving for the short term and investing for the long term. But when you're trying to just make ends meet, then obviously your focus shifts. And so that's where we come in with this different tack where we say, let's help you manage the money you do have better. Because when you do that, that's how we find a way to make sure that there is the ability to put some money aside for a rainy day. And largely what that comes down to is getting South Africans a financial education. There's this incredible focus in our country, rightly so, around getting people an education in order to get a good job, in order, to do well for themselves and their family. But where we kind of have lost focus is that there's absolutely no education around what do you do once you get that first salary. Once you start earning a salary, what do you do with that money when it lands in your bank account? And so that's where we come in. We are so passionate about teaching people to then manage this money you do have better, because we know that this is not something that is taught in most schools and most homes. And so when you don't know how to manage the money you do have very well, you're bound to make mistakes. And so that's where getting a financial education for yourself is one of the most empowering things that you can do. And like you say, that's what's going to give you the insight and hopefully some skills and some knowledge and confidence around how you then not only manage your way through this current cost of living crisis, but hopefully actually are able to build a financial future for yourself and your family that moves you forward financially rather than backwards, which is, I think, where most South Africans are sitting at the moment.
Part of that education, Hayley, is the basics of knowing the difference between short-term saving and long-term saving. As you just alluded to a short while ago, it's the long-term journey of having some sort of, a fallback in terms of financial assets that's going to make you a bit cushioned around the high cost of living or maybe a precarious economic climate such as the one that we are experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when we look at educating our learners, one of the things that we start with is the basics, right? Because as South Africans, we know that the companies we work for or the companies we buy products and services from, we know that they need to make a profit, right? Because if they don't make a profit, they're going to go bankrupt or they're going to go out of business. But what we don't do is we don't take that approach or look at our personal finances through the same lens, right? Most people aren't looking at their salary, at their bank account the day before they get paid and say, hey, did I make a profit this month? Did I move forwards financially for all the work that I did in order to earn my salary last month? And so that's where we start, right? We need to figure out how we spend less than we earn. Because the moment you do that, then you've got the opportunity to start saying, right, how do I save? How do I invest? What is it that I should be looking at and focusing on? But the first step is figuring out how we spend less than we earn.
I like that idea. It sounds quite informative, especially if you think of yourself and your bank account as one that is an entity that's meant to aid you in the long term. As a parting shot, I'm also quite interested in the modeling around starting small when it comes to saving. You also indicate that one does not necessarily have to be debt-free.
Yeah, so there are two different types of debt. You've got debt that is used to fund consumption, which is your cost of living. So if you're using other people's money to go out for dinner or to buy your clothes or your TV or your lounge suite, there's a good chance that you're going to land up in trouble, right? But if you're using debt to buy assets, like, for example, a home, that's one way that you can, over time, make sure that you're building up assets. So that's really important to understand the different types of debt. But you said you were interested in, what are the quick and easy things that we can do? So I spoke about how do we make a profit when it comes to our finances. One of the first things that you can do to ensure that is that the same day you get paid, you want to take a small amount of money out of your transactional account where you're going to be paying everything every month, and you're going to move it into an account that is for your savings, right? Whether it's building up an emergency fund, if you don't have one, as an example, that would be the first step we'd recommend. But the way you do that is you take that money out first. Literally, even if you're starting with 50 Rand this month, what you're then doing for the first time is ensuring you've made a profit. And then you look at how you're managing your money for the rest of the month. And over time, you get better at hopefully paying down some debt so that you can increase your monthly cash flow. And then you're able to put more money aside into saving and then hopefully investing over the longer term.
Thank you for your insights. Hayley Parry is the co-founder of Worth, which is in partnership with Discovery Bank's education side of the business.